Here we are after a day of lower humidity and sunshine, unless you were across southern New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania and 4 points south, in which case you were sitting in clouds all day. But that drier air is still going to be around for one more day. Major Hurricane Erin continues on a northwest course, unrelenting, and it's getting a little complicated for the outer banks of the Carolinas, and maybe even some gusty winds up the coast of to New Jersey and Long Island before this is all said and done. But we're going to cover it all right now, right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast without spending one dime out of your own pocket, except for whatever you purchase on Amazon. It doesn't cost you anything extra. Just use the referral link that's on the description to this podcast when you do your Amazon shopping, and Amazon sends us back a little bit of coin for sending you there. And it also keeps the live podcast, the live version, commercial free, which I think all of you enjoy. So many thanks to those of you who have used that referral link on Amazon. And if you're looking for a weather station, why not consider Tempest by WeatherFlow, the revolutionary Tempest weather system? You get it. You get to join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. It's easy to install and monitor it right off your mobile device. The link for this is tonight. It's pinned to the top of the chat board as well as on the description to this podcast. And there's a coupon code, Joe Rayo. Did you know that there's a coupon code?
Yes, there is, and I believe the code is summer 2025.
That's right. And if you do use it, what do they get, Joe Rayo?
Well, David Daniel on the chat board is certainly aware of what they get. He says, and I will say, 10% off. Anything you buy from Tempest, you use that code, 10% gets cut right off of your price, and it'll make you very happy, I think.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so
Before we get into the heart of the weather conversations tonight, one of our more assiduous, now there's a word you should look up in your dictionary, your Funk and Wagnalls, one of our more assiduous viewers, and this happens to be Renata's great aunt, Hatta, Tanta Hatta, as she is known in the family, and she was taken to the hospital earlier today, Joe. Hopefully no complications, but she is a rabid, and I do mean a rabid Joe and Joe. She can't go to bed at night until she gets a chance to see the Joe and Joe show. She's
that's
a huge
great.
fan, and we want to wish her well in the hospital, and she might even be watching right now. So,
Is that Mrs. Hatch on the
Hutch,
chat board? Is that Mrs.
Hutch.
Hatch?
Well, Maria Hutchinson, that's her mother.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so yeah, so she's watching right now or convalescing. There's another $5 word you can look
Well, our
up.
show is known to cure what ails you, so we appreciate that she's watching, and we wish her that she's a quick recovery.
And I had mentioned also to you off air, Joe, and Dennis, our dear friend Dennis Cassia, putting on the chat board here, is the wonderful thing about this, getting together every night is that we all are like family and we don't keep things
Yeah,
from everybody else. And he just Dennis wants everybody to know that he's going in for some surgery on Wednesday. Unfortunately, they being surgeons, they found cancer on his right kidney, and the kidney will have to be removed. So that'll fix it so far as the cancer is concerned, because the cancer is isolated on just that one kidney. So hopefully everything will go a-okay with that procedure on Wednesday, and we wish Dennis well on that. And I'm sure he'll be with us tomorrow night before he undergoes that surgery on Wednesday.
all right. So our thoughts are with him.
Yes,
And uh, Tatahata, you said?
right. And by the way, I wasn't going to say how old because women don't like to, let their age out. But since Renata, since it's her great aunt, And so she would have to answer to Tanahata, if anything. On the chat board, she says, "Hope you feel better." She is 95 years young. And
God
Joe,
bless.
I got to tell you something. I've known her, ever since I've known her, as long as I've known Renato or whatever like that. She may be 95, but she's as spry and as sharp as a tack. So, um, it's pretty. My mom lived to be 90, and Renata's father lived to be 87. And Tanahata, if they had a race with them, Tanahata would have left them in her
In the
dust.
dust.
Isn't that
Well,
amazing?
good. Well, we wish her well. So hopefully tomorrow she's home.
Yes.
All right. So we've got Erin, and still moving northwest, and still hasn't made the turn. And now it's been doing this throughout all its history, where it's just been, it took a jog to the south for a while a couple of days ago, so that basically bought it some longitude and some latitude, and now it appears that it's going to be close enough that they've got tropical storm watches up for the Outer Banks of North Carolina.
Well, the Outer Banks, and of course, the reason why they call them the Outer Banks is they are out there. I mean, if you look at a map of the United States, uh, Hatteras, sticks out
Yes,
into the Atlantic Ocean, and you're absolutely right. They've issued a tropical storm watch, and some of the model guidance, Joe, show that there is the potential for sustained winds of 40 to 50 miles per hour, and maybe gusts as high as 60 to 70. Now, hurricane force is 74 miles per hour, so in some of the stronger gusts may approach hurricane force late Wednesday night into part of Thursday, maybe even stronger. And you just mentioned the fact that the storm has not yet made the turn. If it takes longer to make the turn to the north and east, and or if its wind field expands, and that tends to happen with
right.
hurricanes and tropical cyclones as they move northward. Sometimes you see the cloud area and the wind field expand, and if it expands more than expected, the Outer Banks will be in trouble. At any rate, the wind field keeps expanding, and even immediate coastal areas from the from the Delmarva up through the Jersey Shore, and possibly even up into perhaps Long Island as well,
Yeah.
may well see some strong gusty winds. So we'll have to watch that carefully over the course of the next 24 to 48 hours.
That same guidance, by the way, is also producing 35 to 45 mile an hour sustained winds for the Jersey Shore and for Long Island. So if 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 the guidance is close to being correct, you certainly could think that you could wind up getting some gusts that high.
Well, absolutely, and the ocean front on the Jersey Shore and also on the south shore of Long Island could take a real battering with the high tides. As we pointed out last night, we're approaching now. The moon is a waning crescent, and in just a few days, it's going to be at new phase. And whenever the moon is at new or full phase, we get the spring tides, the astronomically higher than normal tides that you see at other times of the month. And you don't need that, especially when you have a big storm like Erin just offshore. But again, the New Jersey and Long Island coastlines could take a battering with the high tides Thursday night and again on Friday morning as the high seas come up from the south and directly pound the beaches. Now we could see surf, right around the outer periphery of the eye of Erin. They're talking about maybe waves of 30 to 50 feet. Now, it's not going to be the case along the mainland, but surf as high as 10, maybe even 15 feet could hit the Jersey and Long Island shorelines either Thursday night or during the day on Friday.
I got the loop up on the screen, and the eye was trying to come back. It actually came back for a while overnight into this morning when there was a little burst of strengthening, and then it kind of went away. And I'm kind of noticing that maybe it's trying to make a little bit of a comeback here, but it's a little ragged on the northwest side. and there's some drier air that got into the mix, which is why it's looking that way. Now that dry air, per the Hurricane Center, is probably going to get flushed out overnight. So there's still time for this to regain some strength. I don't know if it's probably not going to get back to what it was at its peak, which was 915 millibars. And also, as we get further to the north, uh, the the depth, it's hard to sustain pressures that low. Once you start getting to 30 degrees north, it's still down and it's not quite to 25 yet, so it still has another 300 miles to go. But once it gets above 30 north, it's kind of hard to sustain that kind of a pressure. But nonetheless, we'll see what it does. But again, I think the concerning part, particularly for the Outer Banks, is that it's still moving northwest. I mean, we've gone from a storm that looked like it was going to recurve somewhere around 65, then it became 65 into 70 west, then it became low 70s. Now it looks like it may get to 74 or 5 before it starts to move to the northeast.
And again, something that we'll have to watch over the next 24 to 48 hours. I think yesterday I mentioned about the fact that, the models do their very best to track these storms as they move forward during the coming days. But, the sheer momentum of moving a gigantic system like Erin, which the storm has indeed evolved into, it's tough, you have to, again, take into account the turn and then again off to the north and east. And again, the sheer momentum of the storm may take it closer to the coast than what some of the models are suggesting, which is why the Outer Banks are watching this exceedingly carefully. And I know, Joe, that they've already said to the folks who live on or near the Outer Banks of North Carolina, you do best to get out right now.
Yeah.
Don't,
Oh, yeah.
don't,
It
don't
makes
sit
total
around.
sense.
Yes,
I think after the Texas floods, I think a lot of people have realized that it's better to be safe than sorry.
I believe so. Yeah, why?
Maybe that. Of course, it'll be forgotten uh, at some point in terms of having that attitude, because you'll have the same idiots that'll complain because they didn't get the tragedy that they were looking for. One of the things I'm noticing on the enhanced loop, by the way, is there are some cold. We saw this happening last night, the beginning of some colder cloud tops developing. So we'll see what the recon plane finds. I just checked it before we went on the air, and there seems to be some difficulty in getting some of the data back. So we'll wait to see what they say on the 8 o'clock advisory in terms of the pressure with all of this. But still, it is a very well constructed, well defined system with a powerful core. And you notice that the latitude and longitude lines are sliding from the upper left to the lower right. So the motion continues to be to the northwest. So before too long, it'll be probably at 72 and a half. It's not even quite, it's actually not quite yet to 25 degrees north. It might be at 72 and a half degrees west before it gets to 25 degrees north. And we'll take a look at what the Hurricane Center has on their last forecast. By the way, at 8 o'clock, since I have the map up before I click to the to Erin, the tropical wave that's behind this, that's way out at 35 degrees west, is forecast to continue to move west northwest. Conditions are favorable for gradual development, and a tropical depression could form at the end of the week. And now a 60% chance that there could be a tropical cyclone formation in the next 7 days. And there's another wave that has just moved off the African coast, and they're just mentioning that there might be some slow development of this, some slight development of the system possible over the next couple of days and beyond. Although they say by Thursday it gets into a less favorable environment. But anyway, that one right, the one in front of it, is one that probably will have uh, is something else that we're going to be watching in the long term. So at 5 o'clock, uh, Erin was at 24 and 71.3, and the top winds were 140 miles per hour. I believe the lowest pressure they were carrying was 935 millibars, I think. and you can see the forecast again nudged a little bit to the left slightly, but you see the yellow that's along the North Carolina coast from Cape Lookout northward up to Duck, which is on the north side of the Outer Banks. And if you had ever been to the Outer Banks, folks, I've been there several times. It's beautiful, and it's a great place for a vacation. So I highly recommend it. But not now. After this is gone, maybe, but not now. And you can see the track, that sharp right turn to the northeast, and you can thank that there's this upper trough that's going to be moving through the northeast on Wednesday. And that's something, by the way, that we have to consider, Joe, that we would be where that is and where the hurricane is. We might see a little bit more in the way of rain out of that when it approaches.
Well, yeah, we'll see if that does
We might get
pan
some
out.
enhancement on that. The weather prediction folks have kind of upped the precip amounts a little bit to half to three quarters of an inch, which I'll show you in a little bit. But I think it's possible that we could see that upper trough, and with the hurricane where it is, that we could see some enhancement of the rainfall ahead of it. And the models may not pick up on it until tomorrow or even early Wednesday.
Right. Well, we'll see.
All right. Well, there you go. There's the forecast track. I'll give it another refresh in case they updated it to 8 o'clock, which they have not. Um, so uh, I'm going to see if I can find the. So there's the Hofs A and the Hofs B model. So this is the model that they were talking about with respect to the wind. Let's see if they have the 10-meter wind 10-meter wind map. It's a little hard to see the geography on this, but as we move it along, this is the new one from 18Z, which may not go out far enough. Let's try the 12Z. So this is now Thursday. You can sort of see there's Cape Hatteras. Okay, so these yellows here, where you see the yellows and the green, the light green, that's 40 knots. Okay, and the yellows are 46 knots, and those are inside the Outer Banks. So this is the model that they've been referring to with respect to showing these stronger winds. And you can see where the center is, by the way. I mean, it's well over like almost a couple of 100 miles to the east-southeast of Cape Hatteras. So the center itself is not that close. But the wind field on this thing is just enormous. And if you look at the wind barbs that are close to where Hatteras is, you see, 30, 35, 40. Just offshore, you see some 50s and 60s in terms of knots. And these are sustained winds, not gusts. So something I think we are certainly going to pay attention to. And again, it would not at all surprise me if we see some fringe gales up the Jersey shore and on the south shore of Long Island come Thursday. The one positive from that respect is the fact that we are going to probably go to more of a northeast or a northeast wind on Thursday as the hurricane goes out to the southeast. And that might actually be a positive on Thursday in that it would push more of the water out rather than in, at least on the south shore of Long Island. It may be problematic, though, for the Jersey Shore and for the north shore of Long Island with that kind of a wind.
My question about Thursday locally here in the tri-state area is we know that we're going to get some showery weather in here on Wednesday into part of Wednesday night. And the question about Thursday, as the storm comes closest to us, and as you said, Joe, we'll be seeing winds turn out of a north and northeast direction, is that we may very well start the day on Thursday with a lot of low clouds. But then, as the passage of time and the storm moves slowly away, the clouds should break up and we should see increasing amounts of sunshine during the day on Thursday. And the humidity, of course, will remain on the low side. And it may actually feel temperatures will be close to 80 degrees, I think, on Thursday. So it'll be a warm day. It won't be a coolish day, but enough so that I think we would be seeing an increasing amount of sunshine and then full sunshine from start to finish for Friday and on into the start of the weekend on Saturday.
Yeah, the dew points will be going down on Thursday.
Right. You wouldn't expect them to go up with the positioning of the storm and the northeast wind. Certainly, you can't see the dew points climbing with
No,
that type of setup. So
no. If you were seeing the dew points climbing, it's a totally different synoptic setup, and it would be one where you'd be panicking. So no, you're not going to get that. And by the way, here are the hurricane tracking models forecast from this afternoon, and there are several models that get it almost to 75 degrees west, to about maybe 33-ish north before they all make the right turn. None of them are going further north than that. So it'll be a matter of how far west does it get before it finally makes that turn, and the upper trough that's going to move through on Wednesday is going to help the cause. And as far as intensity is concerned, the intensity models, a couple of them are kind of fluctuating at a category 4 for the next 48 to 72 hours before they start to drop down. But there's more of those models that are kind of taking it down to a category 3 as early as tomorrow. Uh, we'll see. We'll see how the storm behaves at this point. Uh, these intensity model forecasts are not always the best or accurate. What Hurricane Center folks have said that they've made great progress on track, but when it comes to intensity, it's a little dicey at times. So we'll just kind of follow it along and note the trend on the guidance. But if it winds up staying stronger for longer, uh, it would not be a surprise to me anyway if that happened. So there you have it. And here's the wide view, so you can get a sense of where we are and where the hurricane is. It's still a fair distance away. I saw today, Joe, they had some beach issues in Delaware, where at Rehoboth Beach in Delaware. I try to remember if I read that they said that I think they may have closed it to swimmers for a while today. So beaches are certainly seas are certainly beginning to pick up off our shorelines.
the chairman hitting the tip jar tonight and asking us the question, Joe, with this powerful hurricane as it passes by Cape Hatteras, do we expect a lot of tornadoes on the coast? And my opinion, and you may have a different one, is I really don't think that tornadic activity comes into play here.
No, I don't think
Yeah,
so either. If the
I
center
mean,
were if the center were going to the west of them, if the center were going, say, into Wilmington and then going up and through eastern North Carolina, that's a whole different ball game.
right, right.
Yeah,
I remember 1979 September when we had Hurricane David taking just the kind of track that you mentioned, Joe. From the Mid-Atlantic coast up to and just west of the New York metropolitan area. We were under a tornado watch because of that. I remember our good friend Andy Gregorio, um, who was on duty during the overnight hours as David was approaching, and he got a stern, phone call from the National Weather Service saying that he really should not have gone on the air at several radio stations to say tornado watch because back in the day they referred to that as an aviation tornado
right.
watch, and you really weren't supposed to let that piece of information out over the airwaves. It was just for pilots and aviators or whatever. To which Andy made the reply back to the guy at the Weather Service. Well, let me ask you a question. If it can flip over a plane, can it flip over a car? Can it cause damage to a house or whatever, if that be the case? And I think the guy didn't really have an answer for that. He just said, "Don't do that again."
Yeah.
Of
the
course, nowadays we're accustomed to not just severe thunderstorm watches, but also tornado watches when needed. But back in those days, back in the 70s, that was something very highly unusual. to
Yes, it
issue
really
a
was. Uh,
yeah.
David Fuller also hitting the tip jar, worried about whether he's going to have a nice day at the beach on Friday, which Friday's going to be a nice day, but the ocean is going to probably still be rough. But thank you so much, both Scott and David for hitting the super chat tip jar. There were quite a bit of clouds in the southern half of New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania. See, I thought back yesterday morning, I thought the cloud deck would be further north, but more dry air came down and kind of forced it a little further south. So if you were in northern New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, Long Island, and points northward, you had a really nice day. On the other hand, if you were further south, you were sitting in lots of clouds, and it wasn't really all that warm either. I mean, I noticed the 3 p.m. temperature when I looked at Washington D.C. was 69. So some of the cooler air did manage to get further south and underneath the cloud deck, and the dew points were also lower than forecast across New Jersey and southern Pennsylvania. So shows you how much weight the dry air to the north can have sometimes when it can overpower the warm tropical air. We have some activity going on in the western Great Lakes. You're seeing some blowups of thunderstorms in parts of the Dakotas. You see the big white clouds that are blowing off to the northeast in Colorado and in parts of the Central Plains, as well as over Louisiana. The radars are on the busy side there, and you can take a look here. We've got a bunch of severe thunderstorm warnings in northwestern Illinois with some flash flood warnings. Even one near Chicago, we've got a flash flood warning there. We have some other severe thunderstorms in eastern Colorado and in an east-west line. I don't know what interstate that is, but if you're driving from Denver to say Omaha, you're gonna you got a long drive to a long line of thunderstorms. That east-west line's got to be several hundred miles of straight thunderstorm activity there.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, it's right along the interstate.
Yeah, that highway goes right into Kansas City. So if you're driving from Denver to Kansas City, you got not Omaha because that's the state above. My mistake. If you're driving from Denver to Kansas City, or if you're driving from Kansas City to Denver right now, uh, when you get into that thunderstorm activity, whichever way you're going, when you get into the first round of rain, you got a long way to go before you get out of it. Also seeing a lot of storms running around in parts of Texas into Oklahoma, West Texas, and into New Mexico. And in the east, we've got some showers and a few thunderstorms in eastern North Carolina, of course, not related to the hurricane, and in parts of South Carolina. Also in the western Carolina mountains down to me, because I had some rain an hour or so ago and a little bit of thunder. And we've got some showers and a few thunderstorms in the Florida peninsula, but nothing severe. Storm Prediction Center tonight, slight risk near Chicago in northern Illinois, and we have a severe thunderstorm watch box up there that has also been extended eastward and westward. Two severe thunderstorm watches in the western plains, covering northwest Kansas into northeast Colorado and western Nebraska, and another one further north into western South Dakota. Marginal risk is being indicated for tomorrow for South Kansas and Oklahoma, east of Missouri and Arkansas, and then a narrow finger northeastward through southern Illinois, western Kentucky, southern and eastern Indiana, and let's call it the western half of Ohio. And for day three, we have, and this is for Wednesday into Thursday, the general thunderstorm line has been pushed to Long Island, northern New Jersey to southern New York, and from southern Virginia down to eastern Georgia, they've got no thunderstorms in that gap in there. But everybody else is under general thunderstorms and a small area of marginal risk in northern North Dakota. And here's what I mentioned earlier. WPC suddenly has like a half to three quarters of an inch from Maine down to Virginia and eastern North Carolina. Now, what's in eastern North Carolina, some of that's what's going on now. Some of it is, especially out of the Outer Banks, where they've got an inch to an inch and a half. That's from the hurricane. But the rain that's being indicated for much of the Northeast is from the upper trough that's coming through on Wednesday. And sometimes when you get situations like this, when you have a front coming and you got a tropical system nearby, we've had instances where that's amounted to a huge amount of rain. I don't think that's this time around. We're sort of on the edge of that idea. So I don't think we're going to get anything crazy, but it would shock me if we wind up seeing 3/4 of an inch or an inch or maybe an inch and a quarter in some places. It wouldn't shock me.
Well, I mentioned last night with Floyd in 1999, there was a quasi-stationary front that was across parts of the tri-state area. Then all of a sudden, here comes Floyd with its tropical moisture. The two coalesced basically over the New York metropolitan area. And the result of that was places like Yorktown Heights in northern Westchester County picking up over a foot of rain in only 3 hours' time. And much of the Hudson Valley, all of the parkways, the Sprain Brook, the Hutch, the Bronx River Parkway, any parkway that had a river or some sort of a body of water associated with it, all were flooded out for a good 24 hours after the passage of Floyd. So that's basically what happened in 99. We're not talking about anything like that happening this time because, again, Erin is going to stay mostly out to sea. But you're right, Joe. Some of that tropical moisture may end up getting funneled just close enough while that front is passing through on Wednesday to maybe funnel some of that moisture into the tri-state area and enhance or accentuate the rainfall totals, which are now, well, modest, maybe on the order of about a quarter to a half an inch. But again, a little bit of enhancement, and you could very easily see 3/4 or an inch or more out of that. So it looks like Wednesday is going to be a wet day. How much wetness still up for grabs in terms of what model and what you decide upon. But in any case, of the weather that we see this week, the one clinker, unless you're rooting for rain, will be Wednesday, and then hopefully drying out on Thursday and lots of sunshine for Friday and the start of the weekend.
By the way, this is the Europeans' wind gust forecast for Thursday, and they've got gusts of 25 to 35 in many locations. Philadelphia 30. This would be around 2 p.m. It's the map period ending between 8 a.m. and 2 p.m. And these are what would be considered the max gusts sometime in that time frame. Toms River 38 miles per hour, Long Branch 44, Brentwood 28, and you can see offshore in the reds. The red areas are basically 40 to 50 in terms of gusts. But 20 to 25 mile an hour wind gusts occurring even in inland places. Waterbury, Connecticut, 28, Bridgeport, 27, Middletown, 25, Bridgewater, 35, Trenton, 33, Vineland at 31. Gonna see if I can get a local shot, a tight shot here further south. Well, let's go down to. I want to go a little further south than this, but you can see coastal Delaware is in the 30 to 35 and even 40 mile an hour range, and also southernmost New Jersey around Cape May. But I want to go a little further south than this. So let's see if I can do that. Let's see what we got. So Maryland, go down one more. All right, so this at least will show us the Outer Banks. Again, this is the European. Here's the max. So this is at 2 p.m. Thursday, ending 2 p.m. Thursday. The European, Joe, gusting this, right at Hatteras, 65 mile an hour wind gusts. That whole area in yellow that you see in the Outer Banks, that's basically 55 to 65. And on land in eastern North Carolina, you're also looking at gusts over 40. So on the other side of Pamlico Sound and Albemarle Sound, you're looking at gusts to 40. Jacksonville, North Carolina, gusting to 40. So Virginia Beach gusting to 50. So that's pretty significant.
It is, and all the more reason why we now have a tropical storm watch for those Outer Banks. And let's hope that we don't have anything worse than that evolve from this. But again, it looks like we could be in for some interesting weather here along the coastal plain Wednesday into Thursday. Thank goodness that the storm itself, the center of the storm, still stays pretty well out to sea still, but uh, again, something that we'll be watching carefully in the next few days.
The 8 o'clock advisory, by the way, 24.1 north, 71.5 west, still carrying 130 miles per hour. Could you check to see what the pressure is on there? And still moving, carrying northwest at 10 miles an hour. So it's actually the forward motion's been really slowed down since what it has been over the last several days. And again,
Central pre-
they don't really change the forecast, the actual forecast track on the intermediate advisories.
Central pressure is now 947 millibars, 130 mile per hour, 115 knot maximum sustained winds, and it's moving toward the northwest at 9 knots or 10 miles per hour.
What's the heading? 310?
Uh, I'm reading off of the when you put the cursor over the symbol, the hurricane symbol.
Uh-huh.
So I don't have. Let me. I'll check the public advisory, which will give you or give us. Let's see.
Yeah, that
Present movement
947
northwest
earlier,
310.
that's up from
310.
earlier today, which was down at 935. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Northwest or 310 degrees at 10 miles
310.
per hour. Yeah.
Okay. So here again is the European, and you can see on the European, just offshore, the yellows on the European here are uh, 32 knots. These are sustained winds, by the way. 32. So they have sustained gales touching the New Jersey shore and just almost touching the south shore of Long Island. And there you see the track to the northeast, and then of course it's gone as we go through Friday and into Saturday. And then here's our surface map. So we'll take a look at this. The European actually deepens this again, starting off with tonight. It had it at 937 for 0Z, so it's 947. So it's too deep by 10. I don't know if I would leave these numbers where it gets it down to like 922, 919. That seems a little bit much. 918 when it's southeast of North Carolina. That seems a little bit that seems a little bit overdone, but it's still going to be a formidable, Cat 3, borderline Cat 4 hurricane. And the upper trough that's coming through tomorrow, producing the thunderstorms tonight that they're getting in northern Illinois, and that is moving eastward. The high is kind of shifting eastward toward Atlantic Canada, but the upper trough holds together and moves through, and you can see that there are some showers and storms tomorrow morning, uh, I'm sorry, Wednesday morning, in the Hudson Valley and parts of New Jersey. And again, this is something we'd have to watch closely to see if being that upper trough and where the hurricane is, even though they are separate systems, they're kind of confined inside the general weather pattern that's over the East Coast, that we could see some enhancement, particularly because we've got those southeast isobars coming in. That's a little concerning. And the European does, show some hefty rainfall amounts developing over Long Island and parts of New Jersey on Wednesday. And then, of course, you got the hurricane coming up. The rains diminish late Wednesday night, early Thursday morning as drier air. The hurricane pulls down drier air behind it on the west side, and you'll see gradual improvement during the day on Thursday. And then, of course, as it moves out to the east, the wind issue will diminish during Thursday night. Friday should be a lovely day, nice high, reasonable dew points. Then we'll go into the weekend with another cold front approaching on Sunday or Monday, and then here comes another big high coming down with some dry air for much of next week once the front goes by.
Christopedia, I did ring the bell last night. We were talking about when was the last time I rang the bell twice consecutively for 100 plus viewers
Oh
or
God!
100 plus likes. It's been a while, but yeah,
Yeah,
I did ring the bell. I rang the bell last night. We had 100 viewers last night.
yes, we did. And for those of you who follow these things, at least on the European, really doesn't show that next wave. That next wave, it makes a small tropical storm here east of the Bahamas, and then it just kind of gets kicked out by the weekend cold front of the Northeast. The GFS has other ideas with this, but when you look at all the ensembles, at least in terms of what the European ensembles are showing, mostly an Atlantic track and an offshore Atlantic track. But my rule is just like in the wintertime with snowstorms, when it looks like there's going to be something back to back, you deal with the first one before you worry about the second one. So we will just continue to follow that logic and deal with the first one before we start worrying about the second one. So, all right, you got Briller Jeopardy?
Yes, I do.
And today is what? The letter G, retired hurricane names beginning with the letter G.
Well, let me just get to it here. Hang on for one moment. And we will get to that. Yes, we've got the G and the H. We have 5 retired G names and then 7 retired H names.
Okay, so this chat board has a number of folks on the chat board have Gloria.
Hang on for 1 second. I want to get a card so I don't lose my place here. Gloria, yes. Gloria is indeed on the list. That was 1985, Joe. Seems like only a few years ago, doesn't it?
It does. Rich Rothmansky and Mark D42 and Rich Rothmansky again. Gustav.
Gustav is, yes, there. Folks, let's take care of one letter first. I know a lot of people are already hitting the H's, but let's take care of all the G's. Let's just do the G's. And the one that I would have said, if I didn't have this question or the answers in front of me, the one I would have said, many people have already mentioned Gilbert, which had a very low barometric pressure. And also, they actually did a whole show about Gilbert on the PBS show Nova many, many years ago. In fact, I still remember the guy in the Hurricane Hunter, the pilot in the Hurricane Hunter aircraft, getting a little reluctant to go into Gilbert because it had a near record low barometric pressure reading and very, very strong sustained winds. But anyway,
Joe,
so far.
Joe, can you just take over for a minute? I got to do something.
Okay, very good.
So Joe, you go ahead, keep going. I'll be back in a minute.
Okay, so let's take a look at some of the other names that are coming up here. Dennis Cassius says Greta, and Greta indeed was one of the G names. So Greta's on the list. So we got 4 out of 6 for the G's. Let's see what else we got. George's, or is that Jorge or George's? Anyway, George's is on the list. And so it's 5. Let's see. Yeah, we've got all 5. I'm sorry. 5 G names, and we've got all 5. And the 5 were George's, Gilbert, Gloria, Greta, and Gustav. And now we move on to the H's. We have 7 H storms, 7 H retired names that we're looking for. So let's move on to Frank R., who says Hazel. And Hazel, yes, Mr. B, yes, Hazel is one of the H storms that have been retired and is on the list. Christopedia says Helene. Well, of course, Helene was just last year. That has been retired. That is on the list. Let's go to Frank Scalera, who says Hugo. And Hugo is another H storm that has been retired. Harvey says Steve. Steve LaPointe. By the way, Steve, I think, just changed a phone or whatever. So he's not Steve LaPointe on the chat board anymore. He's just good old-fashioned Steve. But Steve says Harvey. Harvey is indeed on the list as well. Harvey, if you remember, did tremendous damage, not so much in terms of wind, but in terms of flooding to the Houston area some years back. Let's see what else. John Sachs, 77, says Helen. Helen. Well, you know what, John? Good try. No dice. No Helen on the list.
But
Uh,
Helene is on the list.
yes, we recognized Helene as one of the seven. And let's see, Harriet Christiapedia says Harriet. Well, Harriet is not there, and neither is Ozzy. So there you go.
Very good. How many left?
Three left, Joe.
Hortense from Mark D42.
Hortense is indeed on the list.
Okay. Um, have we had a Heidi?
I believe with it we have had a Heidi,
But not
but it's not
retired.
but not retired. No,
Johnny Sachs says Hannah.
Hannah. Hannah sounds like a name that might have been retired, but no, we don't have a Hannah on the
All right.
retired list.
So what do you have? We have two left or one left?
Two, Conroy Jet says Horatio,
No,
but
we haven't had
Horatio is
one of
not
them.
on the list. No.
No. Nor have we had a Hurricane Hamlet or a Hurricane Desdemona. Frank Scalera's got Hilda.
Well, I think did we make no? Yes, yes. Hilda is on the list. So
And
now we only need one more.
was Hugo mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
So far we've mentioned Hazel, Helene, Hugo, Harvey, Hortense, and Hilda.
And Hilda. Another H. One more. Well, we know it's not Umberto.
No, not Humberto.
I don't think it's Hoyman either, Steve, on the chat board. Hermione? That's not retired.
No, that's not retired. I'll
Hattie.
give all of you. Hattie, yes. There you go. Rich Rothmansky got
Rich
it.
Rothmansky got Hattie.
So there you go. So the names tonight, G names, five of them: Gloria, Gustav, Gilbert, Greta, and is it George's, Joe?
Yeah, I think it's Gorgeous Georges.
And seven H storms: Hazel, Helene, Hugo, Harvey, Hortense, Hilda, and Hattie.
Harvey. Harvey.
Harvey's a lovely name.
My friend Harvey.
He's even bigger than my friend Shirley.
That's correct. All right, on that note, we're going to call it a night. And we're here tomorrow night, folks, at the same time. Erin will be that much closer. And you can follow it right here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. So we'll be back tomorrow night. Thanks for being here tonight. Those of you who are lurking in the background, if you like the show, hit the like button. If you really like the show, subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss us, because we're here Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. And if there were storms around on a Friday and Saturday impacting the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic or Mid-Atlantic states, we would add extra shows and let you know. But right now, we're not doing that this week. So we'll see everybody tomorrow night.
And thank you for the 77 likes that came up on the board tonight.
And David Fuller and Scott Briller, the chairman, hitting super chat tonight, hitting the tip jar, and many thanks to both of you. So night, everybody.
Good night.